What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So right off the jump, transparency alert, I lied to everybody. I told y'all I was going to cover a story talking about the Supreme Court race up in Wisconsin and everything that's going on with that. They had a bunch of Democrats come in and just rail against Republicans, but they also railed really hard against Democrats, and we were going to cover a lot of that, but I found this other story that I found to be much more interesting, so let's cover that. Let's get into it right quick. Check this out, y'all. Georgia lawmakers passed bill allowing Trump and others to recover costs of election meddling case. This is by far one of the biggest wins for Donald Trump, in my opinion, because this right here vindicates everything I've been saying, everything that a lot of people have been saying about the Fani Willis case, the Georgia election interference case, how it was just bunk, it was nonsense, didn't make sense at all, right? Everything, because how come these people can just launch an assault through, lawfare or whatever, against Donald Trump for no apparent reason over a dadgum phone call he had, of a misinterpretation of a phone call. It is crazy, y'all. And the fact that she got disqualified for all of the malfeasance that was going on in the background. And, of course, the corporate press, they try to cover it up and say it was the romantic relationship that was going on. Had nothing to do with the misappropriation funds and all that other stuff that she was doing in the background, right? They also mentioned the investigation by the Georgia Senate, as a matter of fact, which is crazy. They were finding all kinds of abnormalities, if you will. We'll call it that. We'll just say that, because I can't remember all those right off the top of my head. But there was a lot of misappropriating going on. There was a lot of malfeasance from her office itself. But they say, they found nothing. But we'll get into that, y'all. Check this out. Georgia's Senate passed a bill that would allow President Donald Trump and more than a dozen people to seek compensation for legal bills stemming from an attempt to overturn his 2020 election loss in the state. The bill, passed unanimously by state legislators Thursday, would enable compensation from counties for attorney's fees and other legal costs in criminal cases in which a prosecutor has been disqualified. So, yeah, we covered that. She was disqualified outright a little while back. This is great news. Now, who's going to pick up that case? As a matter of fact, nobody's going to pick up that case. That case has gone to the wayside, right? And once again, this is what I always bring it back to with cases like this, right? If you actually have somebody that tried to overthrow the U.S. government through an election like this, if these people actually believed all of this nonsense, do you think that they would just let it go? Do you think a judge would actually rule in favor of the defendant if they believed, if they had sufficient evidence? Once again, folks, it's kind of a test, if you will. I ain't going to say a litmus test, but it is a test, if you will, just to see how weaponized this government had become under the Biden administration and how much it has just been so partisan and so one-sided over the Biden administration. It's been the most partisan government in history, I believe, right? These people just made this stuff up as they went. They took an innocuous phone call of Donald Trump saying, look, there's a bunch of fraud going on. I need you to find these fraudulent votes. They interpret that as, Donald Trump asking the Attorney General of the state to make up votes. Yes, that's the basis for that case. That is the absolute basis for that case, because that's where the elector scheme and all that other nonsense came from. They're trying to blame that on the Trump administration because they're trying to bring evidence to Georgia to say, hey, you need to look into what went on. There were some major irregularities going on in 2020. We need to look into this. And once you find all this, you're going to have new slates of electors, right? But they try to say it was all just Republican. Oh, it was Trump. But, it's well known that if you find enough fraud to overturn the election, yes, as a matter of fact, you would have to get new slates of electors. That's just a common sense fact in this country. If that were to happen, Everybody knows this. Now they're trying to blame that, because Donald Trump bringing the, or his team or whatever, bringing the evidence as evidence of, oh, well, they had a fake elector scheme. Like, are you kidding me? Seriously. Like, and once again, it would have to be done by the Georgia lawmakers. Trump can't put fake electors together. So why are you trying to prosecute Donald Trump for doing so? The Georgia State Assembly would have to approve this, not Trump. Like, everybody's like, oh, it's Trump's fake electors. That is utter nonsense. But let's keep going. Trump and 18 co-defendants were indicted in Fulton County in August 2023. The accusations included asking Georgia's Republican Secretary of State to find enough votes for Trump to win the battleground state, harassing an election worker, and attempting to persuade Georgia lawmakers to ignore the will of the voters and appoint a new slate of Electoral College electors. Like, see what I mean by that? But they're not telling you that, yeah, that has to be the Georgia lawmakers do this outside of any persuasion, right? The persuasion was actually bringing evidence of fraud to them to show them this is what went on. And obviously, they either A, were milquetoast Republicans or milquetoast, Georgia lawmakers and really didn't want to touch it. They wanted to stay hands off of it. Or there wasn't sufficient evidence for them to act upon this. One of the two, right? It can't be that, oh, Trump tried to persuade. No, I'm sorry. That's not how that works. That is not what went on, actually, right? Because, once again, I bring it all the way back to logic in this country. If these people would have actually believed that they were trying to persuade them to put in a new, illegally create a new slate of electors to certify outside of the normal means by doing so, these people would have testified in court. Another prosecutor would pick that case up immediately and pick it up and run with it. Absolutely. So these people trying to make all these fake accusations against Donald Trump is utter nonsense. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis was disqualified from the election interference case by a state appeals court based on a romantic relationship she had with Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade, whom Willis hired to lead the case. And yep, that's all they mentioned about that. Yeah, that was part of it, sure. But all the misappropriations going on, the vacations that they went on, the fact that they lied under oath about all of it. Yeah. I'm sorry, these people just, and I'm sorry, I do not know why they made such a small paragraph here. Georgia Senate Minority Leader Harold Jones II, an Augusta Democrat, posed a different hypothetical. Now, I know what you might be thinking where this might be going, but bear with me for a second. If you have that young person, possession of marijuana or whatever it may be, and the prosecutor has done something wrong and the case is dismissed because the prosecutor did something wrong, they're entitled to have their attorney's fees back, Jones said. That's surprising coming from a Democrat. That makes actual sense. But like it said at the beginning of this article, it was unanimous. So that means Democrats agreed with this as well. That is right. That's actually something that we probably would have pushed many years ago, speaking to the fact that the Democratic Party is no longer where it used to be. They have gone so far to the left that they have left the stage at this point, y'all. They have just, exited stage right. Elvis is no longer in the building, if you know what I mean. Another bill passed the Senate Thursday that would give subpoena powers to state and House committees. Both bills come a year after the state Senate passed a bill creating a special committee to investigate various forms of misconduct by Willis, including her relationship with Wade. The committee tried to subpoena Willis for a hearing last year, but she did not appear. A judge later ruled the committee was allowed to subpoena her. That is right. Nothing has come of the committee's investigation, but Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones and other Republicans said last week they want to investigate Stacey Abrams, brushing right over the hearings. I watched some of those hearings, as a matter of fact, and there was a lot of illegal things going on inside Fani Willis's prosecutorial discretion, if you will. Yeah, she was doing a lot of things that were illegal, as testified, allegedly as testified by the people that were testifying in that Senate hearing. Those actually went viral, which is wild for a state Senate committee hearing to go viral. That was absurd. That's how I came across it, as a matter of fact. They want to look deeper into recent ethics findings that voter participation group New Georgia Project improperly coordinated with Abrams's 2018 gubernatorial campaign. She would have been the first black woman to serve as a U.S. governor, but lost to Republican Brian Kemp, who defeated her again in a 2022 rematch. Sorry for those screw-ups, y'all. Sometimes when I'm reading, I guess I kind of drop down because I said her in the sentence above it on accident, and that just screwed me up for the rest of it. Sorry about that, y'all. They also want to investigate unsubstantiated claims by new U.S. Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Lee Zeldin that Abrams benefited from $2 billion that a coalition of groups trying to reduce emissions of greenhouse gases received from President Joe Biden's administration. Abrams says she received none of the money. That's because it all went to a non-profit group. That is right. Like, that's how a lot of these people get away with this, because it goes to a charity, y'all. All that money went to this group that's, it's just doing stuff for the climate over here. Yeah, like what stuff? We want to know that. Unsubstantiated claims. It is absurd, y'all, but we're going to get into that once that investigation is complete. We are going to get into all of that. I can assure you of this, right? All these claims are coming out, and I'm like, that's funny to me. I don't think they would be going around making all these claims. This is just hearsay, by the way. But I don't think they would go out making these ginormous claims like this. These just possibly preposterous claims, right? If there wasn't something to substantiate these claims. I just don't believe it. But, the corporate press, they do what they do. Oh, well, we don't see the exact paper trail for where this went to. But, we just so happen to know that the $2 billion that actually Kamala Harris handed the check over to a nonprofit that was being run by Stacey Abrams. Right? And what the corporate press is saying here, we don't know if she personally gained anything from that venture, if you will. No, of course not. It went to the nonprofit. But hang on. Doesn't she get paid from that nonprofit? Yes. So she did gain from that, didn't she? And what do these people do? Like, there's so much money, y'all. We've been finding so much money. $375 billion went to a nonprofit, one of these green energy nonprofits, right? $375 billion that was just created 5 months prior. I brought that article up, that headline up the other day. I didn't cover the article. It's crazy what's going on with all this. It is absurd, a lot of this. And I can't cover everything, y'all. I have a freaking day job to worry about, right? I wish I had all day to research and find all these news articles and bring all this stuff up, because I most certainly would, y'all. Most certainly would. I could get you all the facts and all the data. I would try to put on some live stream to live stream news. If I could do this all day long, like for 8 hours a day, I probably would. If I could, but I can't, because I have to go install glass and repair doors and get my freaking hands dirty, right? As a matter of fact, that's a caulk stain right there I had to caulk some windows earlier today, but, that's neither here nor there. Like, I want to know what all these nonprofits, these green energy, these Greenpeace organization types do exactly. What do they do with all these billions of dollars? Oh, we sent money to this fund for this and this fund for this, right? Which, by the way, I just found out recently when I quit paying my union because they are just garbage. The union that we were signed up to is absolute garbage. As a matter of fact, they wouldn't even, like, half of the time I don't have health insurance at all because of how they're set up. If I don't get exactly 40 hours or more, then I don't get covered for that week. It is absurd. And this is just one of the union deals, right? We don't always get overtime. Sometimes we're slow. Or sometimes we have days off. Yeah. And we don't get paid holidays. We don't get paid vacations. We don't get paid time off. We don't get paid sick days. None of that through this union. I'm just fed up with my union, by the way. And I'm sorry for this rant, but I found out the other day, I kept noticing, there would be just every once in a while, there would be a new deduction on my paycheck. And one day I saw it said, GoFundMe. And I'm like, I wonder what this is. But it was like just a couple bucks. It wasn't much. It's like, GoFundMe. And I just kept forgetting about it. Until one day I was like, no, you know what? I'm going to go ask my boss. We were kind of slow. And I went in there, and as a matter of fact, the week prior to that, and I didn't even notice it, but it had changed to poly action something, right? So I'm like, what the hell is this? So I went and asked him, I said, what was that GoFundMe thing? He said it had something to do with the union. And I said, well, what's this poly action? God, I can't remember what that last word was. It's poly action together is what it was, right? And he's like, I really don't know. And I'm like, I don't like paying $3 out of my paycheck to something. It's just $3, but it wasn't much. And I don't like paying money out of my paycheck. I don't know where it's going. So I told him that. I said, if you could look into that, that would be great. But I told him, I said, I'm stopped paying my union dues. I'm fed up with the union. Haven't talked to a union rep in 9 years, as a matter of fact. Anytime it's time to renew our contract, they don't let us know the details. If anything has changed, none of that. They don't inform us of anything. We get actually zero representation as far as we're concerned. Right? Once again, because we renew our contracts every 3 years. And I haven't seen the guy in 9 years. So that tells you right off the top right there that they could care less about us. So I don't care about them. I have the ability to opt out of paying my union dues, so I'm definitely going to do that. I could care less about insurance. If they cut me off, I don't care at this point. I'm not paying it. So I asked him, I said, I want to stop paying my union dues. He's like, okay, well, there's a form to fill out. As a matter of fact, I found it kind of crazy that when I said that, I said, look, I'm kind of tired of the union. I don't want to pay my union dues anymore. So he goes, gotcha. Turns around, grabs a form and hands it to me, says, you got to fill this out. I'm like, whoa, that's weird. That was utterly energetic of you to do. Like, he was way too excited, I thought, about this. But anyway, so I'm going through and filling this paper out, and as I start reading some stuff, and I get down to the bottom of this thing, and I'm scanning through it, and I see poly action. I'm like, oh, what is this? So I start over, and I start reading for comprehension purposes, right? So I can fully get it, because I kind of scan read a lot of times, which could be one of the reasons why I screw up as I'm reading the news. But anyway, so I see poly action. So I'm like, what is this? Come to find out, it's a political action committee that donated to Democrats. Yes, as a matter of fact, they donated a lot of money to Democrats. And I was utterly pissed off about this, y'all. Like, I was livid about this. Really livid about this. They were taking money out of my check without my consent. Because like I said, it just showed up one day. I haven't talked to a union rep in years, hadn't filled out any new paperwork. It just showed up one day, and they started taking the money out of my paycheck. I was livid about that. But you got to watch these people, man. And it's stuff like that. Like, who was that going to? What politicians were you giving my money that you didn't ask me for? As a matter of fact, it's utter theft. So you got to watch this stuff. There are many evil scumbags in this country that are just willing to throw any principles, any morals right out the window if it means they can make a few bucks. So, and to think that we don't have people like this in and around the government, in and around Washington, D.C., that it's not a coincidence that the 5 counties surrounding Washington, D.C. are some of the top counties in the country. The 5 counties, I believe it's the 5 counties surrounding Washington, D.C., are in the top 10 richest counties in the country. That is right, y'all. That is absurd on its face. And we need to do something about that. This is why I always say we need to get the corporate lobby out of Congress. We should make it illegal for corporations and political PACs and all that to lobby Congress. Yep, absolutely. That would solve many problems. If you want to lobby Congress, do it on an individual basis. A person, just a citizen. If you're lobbying on behalf of a corporation, have some kind of steep penalties for it too. Like 10 years in jail or something like that. Like steep penalties for lobbying Congress on behalf of a corporation. Outright. That's what I think. Y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got on this one, y'all. Sorry for that rant. I have to get stuff like that off my chest because we wonder where this money goes. Like all this money that's floating around going to all these climate change organizations and all this other nonsense. Yeah, we want to figure all this stuff out, y'all. And hopefully we will. Hopefully we'll get the money trailing. Figure all this crap out. But y'all let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. Blows my mind, y'all. That's all I got on this one. I want to thank everybody for watching. And y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.